Enugu, Nigeria. Now we're slowly winding down, but not before we bring to the fore a certain call or appeal by the disabled community in Enugu, the people living with disabilities. Now, just a quick reminder, during a town hall meeting in Enugu last December themed Governance Issues, the Journey So Far, the Enugu State Governor, Dr. Peter Mbah, pledged to establish the Enugu State Disability Commission within the first quarter of 2025. Now, the initiative stemmed from the Enugu State Persons with Disabilities Law of 2023 and aims to improve the welfare of persons living with disabilities in the state. Now, the commission is expected to address the various challenges faced by this community and ensure their inclusion and protection under the law. However, concerns have been raised over the lack of action in this regard ever since. We are joined now by the chairman of the Joint Association of Persons Living with Disabilities, Enugu State Chapter, Mr. Onyebuchi Mba, to shed more light on this so that we do not say more than the people who need this. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, so let's try to get straight to it. When you heard about the commitments made by the state governor during the last town hall, how did it make you feel? How did you make you feel?
Well, I want to believe that many of you, the media personnel who are there on that very day, you saw me and my delegation, jubilating, celebrating as if it is done already. So we are so excited. It was like a new dawn to all of us, hearing from the number one man of the state, number one citizen of the state, the father of the state. And when your father tells you, look, I'll buy bread for you tomorrow morning, you will consider it done because you believed in your father. You trusted your father. You know what your father can do. So it was a very exciteful day. In fact, we left there jubilating. The news was all over. And well, will I say unfortunately? Yes, I have to say so. 3 months, 4 months, up to this very month of August, we have not seen anything done in that regard. And we're asking, are we still part of the society? Have we been forgotten? Is anything wrong with the past law that cannot be revisited? Who is to be held responsible? If you call on Mr. Commissioner of Justice, Attorney General, he will say, we'll refer you back to Governor's office. And if you got many letters have been written, costly visits, made, media campaigns carried out, all to no avail. And we've been seeing, I can't see, I'm a blind man. Some of us are deaf, we can't hear, but we can, some that can see what the governor is doing all over the state. And we that can hear, we can hear what the governor is doing all over the state, across sectors, educational sector, health sector, transportation sector. Just recently, Enugu Air was launched. But we're asking questions, and that question remains. Our message is very simple. How far the journey about disability inclusion? Who speaks for us? In all of the employments made so far in the state, no single person with disability is appointed as SA to the governor, SSA to the governor, SPA to the governor, or any position, not even employment. What is the problem? So, and we are in a world where inclusive governance has become the slogan all over the world. And every society is measured by the way and manner they treat the vulnerable. Persons with this. I have the opportunity to sit down here today because I'm educated. Where is the education of the blind child today in Enugu State? The education of the deaf child today in Enugu State? How do they survive tomorrow? Go to Holy Ghost, all over Enugu, you see a whole lot of them begging. Down to those of us that have even finished the universities, they come out and continue begging. A life of dignity we are preaching with the UN proclamation of Operation Leave No One Behind is what we are campaigning for. And we are saying that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. We thought that the governor has set out doing in Enugu State within the last 2 years. I think there is very much need that persons with disabilities are considered in the scheme of things in the state. So that is just our message is as simple as anything. Enugu State Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Law was passed in April 2023, signed into law in May 18, 2023, before the governor who left office. We had felt that by now, 2 years down the line, that this law would have been given a face, constituting a board that will be running day-to-day activities of issues about persons with disabilities, giving them that sense of belonging and feeling. The whole of Southeast is only Enugu that is left. Enugu that's supposed to be the pace setter for other states to follow. So that is just the issue. And we are still crying and lamenting that our governor should look in our direction. Somebody should take our matter to remind the governor. He's just a human being. He may say something today and forget tomorrow. He requires someone on the side to say, sir, this was what you said. Can something be done in this regard? And I know by what, like I said at the initial, we've seen and we have heard what he has been doing all over the state, across sectors.
All right, you talked about the various engagements you've tried to have with the Ministry of Justice, the Commissioner for Justice. So could you walk us through, because in all of this, from a managerial perspective, I believe what is most important is responsibility. So how were you directed to the Ministry of Justice? What exactly were you told by the Ministry of Justice? And what happened after that? I want to know the chain of responsibility in this.
We put up a request to the office of the attorney. He gave us the dates to see him. We went, and he, before us, after listening to our presentation, he said that he had gotten a directive from the governor to gazette this law, and that he's promising us that between, that was July last year, that between that July to the end of August, that the law will be gazetted. And then by September, we are told, yes, that the gazetting of the law was almost at the completion stage. Unfortunately, as the months were running, by that December, the town hall meeting came. We raised it, and the governor made a declaration. So we've gone back to the justice to say, we wish to have a meeting with you again about the state of the law. And the Commissioner of Justice referred us back to Governor's office.
Referred you back to the Governor's office? Who exactly in the Governor? To see the Governor or to see some other person?
No, I can't tell.
You were just told to go to the Governor's office.
What we did was to also write to the Governor again, reminding him that, sir, please, this was what you said, and we're yet to say anything in that regard. Up to now, we have not gotten any feedback.
Did you write to the Governor's office?
Yes, that's what I just said. I wrote. So, and what I keep saying is that there is need for someone to take up, just like you made mention of responsibility, to take up. The chief law officer of the state is the Attorney General of the state.
So who received the letter you wrote to the Governor's office?
Where they use, there's a normal place that you normally submit letters when you get to the government house.
I mean, but there should have been an acknowledgement, right?
Of course, I have it.
Who signed the acknowledgement?
The people there working in the office of the governor. So we are not new to the system. We know where to submit letters each time we enter any office.
Because the question we're trying to raise here is who is following up on this? Who is basically escalating this reminder?
The truth of the matter is that our people are yet to see disability matter as a serious matter that should be looked into. Some people still believe that a disabled child has nothing to offer. Some character and attitude that individuals display towards persons with disabilities are even more deadly than the disability itself. But we have this strong feeling and hope that if only this matter could be brought before the governor as a reminder, the governor will act on it. But who takes up that? Do
you think that something is stalling the governor from even seeing that letter? Do you think that there's something, maybe a break in the communication? That's why we need to know who exactly it was.
Exactly that, the break in communication, the gap there that we don't have an insider. And those that we do see around and do visit and do meet to appear not to be taking that matter as a serious matter that should be looked into. Like I've just made mention of the Minister of Justice. This is an office that is in charge of the law of the state that should tell you why, if any law has issue that is limiting it from being gazetted or being implemented, and they should take you through, educate you, and tell you reasons. I do speak with the director of law reporter, and the man told me that he has not seen anything holding that law from gaining implementation.
Right. All right, we're out of time on the show today, and it's great that you brought this to the fore. One question I would like you to answer before we let you go is, If the Enugu State Disability Commission is set up as promised by the state governor, what needs would it tend to exactly? What are your expectations from such a commission?
We've seen governor doing a whole lot of things and mostly emphasizing on private-public partnership. And such can also be replicated in a disability matter. The world, a lot of donor organizations, international donor organizations are looking for where to invest on disability-related issues. Enugu is missing out. In fact, the state is losing a lot because I know that so many other states can tell better of what they have been gaining since they had their own disability commission in place. So this commission is charged with the responsibility of every matter socially, economically, and educationally on. You heard the commissioner talk about education and what they have been doing. How far about the education of persons with disabilities, the blind, the visually impaired, and the rest of them? Who teach them? Smart schools, smart, very wonderful innovation. How far their own case, sign language interpreter, braille education, and the rest of them. These are the works of the commission when it is brought into being.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the show today. We hope that this appeal will be heard and acted upon. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming around.
God bless you.
And of course, in the Enugu, look forward to the next town hall. I mean, so many issues we had love to raise as media practitioners and of course residents as well. Lots of issues that would be raised possibly when the next town hall would be held in the state. Thank you once again, Mr. Onyebuchi, for joining. At this point, we'll call it a wrap on the morning show this morning. I've been your host as always, Nathalie Uku.
I'm Oji Nwachuku. Have a splendid Tuesday. Bye for now.